Welcome to History Channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Vilhjalmur Stefansson, the Arctic explorer, is seen dragging a freshly caught seal across the frozen expanse toward his remote camp in the 1910s. This image captures the brutal isolation and survival challenges faced by early polar explorers, who relied on the sea's creatures for food, fuel, and endurance in sub-zero conditions. Captured in 1854, this rare photograph documents the first recorded image of Inuit people during an Arctic expedition. It reflects early contact between Western explorers and native Arctic communities, whose deep understanding of the environment proved vital for survival in one of Earth's harshest climates. Soldiers of Company H, 44th Indiana Infantry posed during the Civil War around 1864. They had seen relentless action in major battles across the South, including Shiloh, Fort Donelson, and Stones River. Their weary faces speak to the immense human cost of preserving the Union amid unending carnage. Crowds fill Piotrkowska Street in Wadgay, Poland, during the May 3rd Constitution Day Parade of 1929. The event honored Poland's 1791 Constitution, Europe's first modern charter symbolizing national pride and unity between wars, even as tensions brewed beneath the surface of an increasingly divided continent. Eva Peron appears frail yet resolute in her final public appearance during a parade in Buenos Aires, June 1952. Standing beside President Juan Perón, she waves from a Packard 12, escorted by elite guards. Her declining health contrasts sharply with the adoration of millions who viewed her as Argentina's spiritual leader. A bustling Hong Kong street in 1966 captures the height of colonial-era commerce and cultural blending. Rickshaws, neon signs, and British red buses fill the frame, symbolizing a city straddling east and west, poised on the brink of rapid modernization and identity transformation in the decades to come. For decades, a haunting post-war photo of a young girl went unidentified. Only later was she recognized as Teresa Adwentowska of Warsaw, traumatized by wartime horrors. Living in a home for disturbed children in 1948, she expressed her longing through a chalk drawing of home on a blackboard. In 1914, a woman is arrested while demanding the right to vote. Her determined face and upright posture embody the suffragist struggle that transformed global politics. These women endured ridicule, violence, and imprisonment, but their courage eventually paved the way for the democratic freedoms millions exercise today. A chilling photograph shows 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, taken on the night of the DeFeo family murders in 1974. The quiet suburban home hides a tragedy that shocked America, later becoming infamous in media and film as the so-called Amityville Horror, blending crime, myth, and fear. During a 1975 NASA experiment, a model of the space shuttle is struck by an electron beam inside a wind tunnel. This test simulated the searing plasma that spacecraft endure during re-entry, offering crucial data that shaped the safety design of America's reusable orbital vehicle. Raquel Welch poses in a promotional still from the 1967 film Bedazzled. Her iconic image, a symbol of 1960s glamour and shifting attitudes towards sexuality and celebrity, helped define an era when cinema began to challenge convention and celebrate bold, modern femininity. In 1994, former U.S. President Jimmy Carter and his wife Rosalind meet North Korean leader Kim Il-sung in Pyongyang. The unprecedented visit aimed to defuse a nuclear crisis, offering a rare glimpse of diplomacy between two nations long divided by ideology and mistrust. Muhammad Zia ul-Haq, photographed in his office in 1977, had just seized power in Pakistan through a military coup. Over the next decade, he reshaped the nation, executing Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, enforcing Islamic law, and advancing the country's secret nuclear program amid Cold War tensions. Amid martial law in 1982, members of Poland's Solidarity movement protest for workers' rights and freedom. Zomo riot police move in to disperse the crowds with force. The photo captures the defiant spirit of a nation whose struggle would ultimately lead to the fall of communism in Eastern Europe. The booking photograph of Julius Streicher in 1945 shows the once powerful Nazi propagandist stripped of authority. As publisher of Der Stürmer, his hate-filled rhetoric helped fuel genocide. Convicted at Nuremberg, Streicher's case marked one of history's first acknowledgments that words themselves can become instruments of mass murder. An abandoned German defensive position at Omaha Beach in 1999 stands as a silent relic of D-Day. Overgrown and eroded, the bunker reminds visitors of the immense cost of liberation, where young soldiers stormed these shores to reclaim freedom from tyranny half a century earlier. A wounded airman from the B-17 Old Ironsides poses amid the wreckage after a mid-air collision over Italy in 1943. Despite severe damage, the crew brought the bomber home. Months later, Old Ironsides was downed by flak. 6 killed and 4 captured, a testament to courage under fire. In 1989, Ronald Reagan smiles as 2 people in a horse costume visit him. Light-hearted moment marking the former president's warmth and humor after years of high-stakes politics. The image humanizes a man often seen only through the lens of power and Cold War history. On May 10, 1945, German soldiers surrender their weapons in Soest. Exhausted and defeated, they face Allied troops just days after Hitler's death. The moment marks the end of a brutal war and the beginning of Germany's long reckoning with the devastation it unleashed across Europe. Princess Diana is photographed in 1985 firing a gun at a training range. The image contrasts her gentle public persona with an unexpected assertiveness, reflecting her evolving independence within the royal family and the global fascination with her as a modern, complex figure. Before the Hindenburg disaster, there was the Graf Zeppelin, a marvel of German engineering. In 1928, it completed a round-the-world journey, landing at Lakehurst, New Jersey. The graceful airship symbolized human ambition and optimism in the skies. A fleeting era soon ended by tragedy and flame. In 1958, author Vladimir Nabokov and his wife Vera are captured chasing butterflies, a pastime reflecting his obsession with nature's precision. The scene reveals the delicate harmony between art and science that shaped Nabokov's life. From his literary masterpieces to his taxonomic studies of rare butterfly species. The Great Chicago Fire of 1871 erupted on October 8th, spreading uncontrollably through wooden buildings. It consumed much of the city within 2 days, killing about 300 and leaving 100,000 homeless. From the ashes, Chicago rebuilt stronger, pioneering modern architecture and urban planning that reshaped America's skyline. German soldiers occupy the Polish city of Grudziądz in 1940. During the early months of World War II, the photograph captures the grim efficiency of Nazi control, as ordinary streets became symbols of oppression and fear under the brutal realities of occupation. In 1975, Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet sits beside Imelda Marcos at Francisco Franco's funeral. The gathering of world autocrats in Madrid symbolizes a fading age of dictatorship, where leaders bound by power and repression mourned one of their own amid the shifting tides of history. Armed guards escort newspapers into the Witwatersrand area during the Rand Revolt of March 1922. The men of the Star defy embargoes and violent threats to report freely amid chaos. Their courage under fire highlights the press's vital role in preserving truth during times of political upheaval. In 1952, Operation Ivy marked a turning point in nuclear history. Conducted at ul-Haq atoll, it was the first U.S. test of a hydrogen bomb more powerful than any previous weapon. The device, remotely detonated from the USS Estes, unleashed a fireball over 10 kilometers wide, signaling a new atomic era. During the 1918 influenza pandemic, a policeman sternly scolds a man for not wearing a mask. Cities worldwide enforced mask mandates as infection rates soared. This image reflects both public resistance and the desperate measures taken to contain one of the deadliest outbreaks in human history. An Imperial Japanese narrow-gauge locomotive rests silently on Guam's Arot Peninsula in October 1944, once part of Japan's Pacific infrastructure. It now stands idle, 2 months after the island's liberation. The photo symbolizes the collapse of Imperial Japan's war machine and the shifting tides of the Pacific War. In May 1865, citizens of Washington, D.C., gathered to witness the grand review of the Union Army. Tens of thousands of victorious soldiers marched through the Capitol, marking the end of the Civil War. The parade was both a celebration and a solemn farewell to a generation scarred by conflict. Captured in October 1863, this photograph from Auburn, Virginia, shows a lively moment of evening music at General Alfred Pleasanton's headquarters. Among weary soldiers and officers, a dashing figure stands out, offering a rare glimpse of camaraderie and calm amid the chaos of the American Civil War. In 1929, U.S. Department of Agriculture researchers examine a stack of soybean plants outside a Korean farmer's home. The photo illustrates early agricultural exchange and scientific curiosity, as American experts studied Asian crop techniques that would later help shape global farming and nutrition during the 20th century. In late 1930s New Zealand, sculptor William Trefue and his team work intently on a clay model for the upcoming Centennial exhibition. Their craftsmanship represents the nation's pride and emerging identity, using art to celebrate 100 years of progress, innovation, and independence in the South Pacific. The 1972 Munich Olympics turned tragic when Palestinian militants took Israeli athletes hostage. The standoff ended in bloodshed, leaving 11 Israelis and a German policeman dead. The world watched in horror as the event, meant to symbolize peace and unity, became one of the darkest moments in Olympic history. In 1905 Paris, Margarita Zell, better known as Mata Hari, dazzled audiences as an exotic dancer. Beneath her allure lay a web of intrigue that later led to her execution for espionage. During World War I, this image captures her at the height of fame, unaware of the fate awaiting her. A young couple relaxes on the beach in 1931, embodying the carefree spirit of the early Depression era. Despite global economic hardship, moments like these reflected a yearning for normalcy, romance, and leisure's simple pleasures that gave people hope amid uncertain and changing times. In 1989 Leningrad, young sailors salute an elderly war veteran. The scene bridges generations, those who fought in the Great Patriotic War and those who inherited its legacy. This moment of respect reflects enduring national pride and remembrance as the Soviet Union approached its final years. In 1938 Chicago, 18-year-old Robert Nixon reenacts a murder for police cameras. The sensationalized, racist press coverage dehumanized him, describing him in animal terms. His case later inspired Richard Wright's novel Native Son, exposing how systemic racism shaped both public perception and justice in America. In November 1943, pilots of VF-16 gather in celebration after downing 17 out of 20 attacking Japanese planes over Tarawa. Their F-6F Hellcats proved decisive in Pacific air superiority. The photo captures the exhaustion and triumph of men fighting against overwhelming odds in deadly skies. During their 1955 goodwill visit to India, Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev and Nikolai Bulganin are photographed in Calcutta. The trip aimed to strengthen ties with post-colonial nations amid Cold War rivalries, showcasing a softer image of Soviet diplomacy through friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. In May 1945, captured German child soldiers, members of the Volkssturm and Hitler Youth, stand dazed after the fall of Berlin. The image reveals the desperation of Nazi Germany's final days, when even children were forced into battle for a collapsing regime that had consumed their innocence. During the January 1949 Durban riots, South African police rushed to shield Indian residents from violent mobs. The unrest, rooted in deep racial and economic tension, left many dead and communities destroyed. The image captures the fragile, volatile intersection of race and power in apartheid-era South Africa. In the early 1970s, Saddam Hussein appears beside his feared enforcer, Nadim Czar. Both were rising figures in Iraq's brutal political landscape. Czar's ruthlessness made him infamous, but after a failed coup attempt, Saddam ordered his execution, eliminating a rival and tightening his path to absolute power. East Berlin in the 1980s stands as a frozen testament to communist-era urban design: gray, uniform, and functional. The city's stark architecture mirrored the rigid control of life under the socialist regime. Yet behind those concrete walls, art, dissent, and quiet dreams of freedom persisted. A rare photograph shows the first McDonald's restaurant in the late 1940s, signed by Richard McDonald himself. What began as a small family business would soon revolutionize global dining, introducing the concept of fast, affordable food and shaping modern consumer culture around the world. In 1921 New York, Old West lawman and journalist Bat Masterson stands beside silent film actor Williams Hart. The photograph bridges two eras: the fading frontier and the rise of Hollywood. Masterson's stories of real gunslingers now inspired the mythic heroes of America's silver screen. In 1970, chaos erupted at Kent State University when National Guard troops opened fire on unarmed students protesting the Vietnam War. 4 were killed and 9 wounded. The shocking images galvanized public outrage, symbolizing a generation's disillusionment with government authority and the cost of dissent. An abandoned village in Bosnia, photographed in 1997, lies silent and overgrown. War and displacement have erased its inhabitants, leaving only crumbling walls and empty homes. The haunting stillness reflects the lingering scars of the Yugoslav wars, where entire communities vanished into memory and dust. A rare 1913 autochrome captures Greek soldiers posing proudly in their uniforms during the Balkan Wars. The vivid color photograph preserves the faces of men on the brink of modern warfare, As Greece fought to define its borders and destiny in a rapidly changing Europe. Taken in 1933. This haunting image shows the last known Tasmanian tiger pacing inside its enclosure. Within years, the species would vanish forever. The photograph remains a symbol of human impact on nature and the fragile line between survival and extinction.